Okay, we are recording. Thank you. If you want to start off with any traditional introductions, that would be great.
Okay. Isang listing, and then we'll go around. Anasnada sakta koke. Yula sakta koke. Anali sakta koke. Amisiva sakta koke. Udina sakta koke. Luisa sakta koke. Ayaktana sakta koke. So we just gave you all of our names, and I realize we have a 11:45 time limit, so you can take it from here.
Okay, well, my auntie gifted me my Aleut name, Hakasuna, and I'm a doctoral candidate with the UW Washington in partnership with the Muckleshoot tribe. And I see we have Alicia here who can introduce herself, and thank you for joining us. And I'll have Alicia go ahead and introduce herself and ask her questions.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Alicia. I'm actually from Eagle River in Alaska, so I'm in Alaska as well. I am a college student for Grand Canyon University, and I'm actually writing a cultural communication paper on the Aleutian Islands. So a part of this essay, I have to ask some questions. So who am I asking the questions exactly? Am I asking you, Sonia, or am I asking...
Oh, sure. Yes, go ahead. Ask Hakasuna.
No. I'm here. Okay. I had similar questions, so your questions worked for my project as well. So you could go ahead and ask yours. She just had us join together so that we can learn in community.
Okay, awesome.
Alicia, I'm back here. AKA Aquilina, Lestenkof, and my preference is to really be in my own sphere in the summer essence and gathering time. So I really usually I tell people, do not call me, do not email me, do not anything me from June till August 2. And so this was my attempt at killing two birds with one stone, or we would say two chuchkis with one bamboo out here. And because my time during the day goes to the people that are sitting around this table, I asked them to join because I want to speak to them about what you all are asking. So I will try to direct to them what I am saying.
All right. Well, I'm very grateful for this opportunity. So thank you very much. So the first question is, what do you identify as the most important or distinct practices of your culture?
I don't think that there is such an answer to that question. I think because sometimes people expect that people that are in a place and us in the Aleutian Pribilof Islands, that if I answer that question, it'll get stuck in time, and these folks, you folks in front of me, are going to change the way we speak. You're going to change how we tan a pelt. You're going to change how we weave a basket. That culture is about changing and adapting. And so the importance of our existence 200 years ago is very different from what it is now. And I think that's the same through most people that are still living in place and engaging with place and engaging with beings in their place.
Thank you for that answer. So in your culture, do you believe that there are different gender roles addressed between female and male? Do you believe that you two operate differently or just have different respective roles in your culture?
Yes. And that too also would change over time. In the same way that we have in our very organic existence, there are a difference between a female bird and a male bird. There's a difference between a female seal and a male seal. So it is because that is how we were created. Um, Not to say that in this day and age, unangan women or girls wouldn't be doing what um, males are doing. I think that too changes over time. A good example was this morning. A few of us at this table, we were fleshing an Interivew. We were cleaning a northern fur seal pelt, and in the past, it was like the women that were doing this work, and because we were given this culture by the fur rush that it had to be done quickly, it became a thing that only men did. Men stood at flushing beams and cleaned pelts by the thousands, and it shifted our cultural perspective. And basically, men took what was women's work away from them, not by fault. There's no fault in that, but we would want to move forward and understand where our places are, and what our roles are, from whether it be a female living as identifying as a female, identifying as a male, identifying as both. I'd like to say I'm someone that probably identifies as both because I realize I have very what might be considered masculine approaches to things. And as I get older, I'm finding that I'm needing to bring in my feminine perspective, so I have to learn to I have to recreate what I say and what I ask for from people that are younger than me, for example.
Awesome. All right, we got two more here. The next one is, how is social power, authority, or social roles in a hierarchy expressed in your culture?
Right now, the same as every culture. When you say in your culture, I take it you're asking about now, 2024.
I mean, I'm kind of delving into more of like history, so maybe in times past, maybe you could do like a reflection of how it was and how it is now. You know.
Okay, so we come from a people who, if you were a woman that were a master sewer and a master creator of tools that are necessary to survival, you could have more than one husband. If you can provide for those hunting and those needs to protect the community of more than one man. And a husband, a male person, a male head of the household could have more than one wife. That male would also become responsible for her sisters. If her sister's husband was killed in war, he might have to take care of his wife's sister. So there was a caretakership that the power perspective was very, very different, and it was all based on living and existing in this part of the planet that we're on. So it is very much governed by the elements and by the resources that are available at that time, and it's probably been evolving, and we've been in this area for near 10,000 years.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Last one. So in class, we learned that in honor-oriented societies, worth comes from one's role or group membership, and in justice-oriented societies, worth comes from what one does or doesn't do. What is the role of honor shame in your culture, and are honor pride and dishonor shame important concepts in your culture?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Lisa, I don't know if that's something you delved into. Just ask that again. Can you shorten it? It is so removed the way that.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of it's like 3 questions in one, it seems like. So I guess I'll just narrow it down. What is the role of honor and shame in your culture?
And you're asking historically. So that's an important thing to your question. Yeah, I really don't know. I do know, I can answer for now. We live on Tanagamich. Tanagamich, we have people here that we see regularly, and that kind of governs what you might feel is shame and what you might feel is honor very infrequently. And I think we don't hesitate to poke, even maybe raw bad fun at each other. and you know that we have to do that in order to always be knowing each other. And tomorrow you're a different person, and we want to continue knowing each other. And then when you come to a hardship, you collectively can support each other, whether it's a community hardship, whether it's an individual having a tough time. People gauge themselves differently from whether it be an individual or a communal thing. The interesting thing that happens here, and I can't speak for any other Una community, we've been here for near 300 years, and we have evolved into what we have now. That when we have we have murder, we still have to be with each other, and we still have to live with each other and rub elbows with each other the next day, because this person sitting next to me that I'm working with, it might be their relative that murdered someone else, or their relative that was murdered. You can't escape it. And somehow by not escaping it, the healing almost seems quicker. I know that I've been absent from my community and my sphere. And when I say that, I'm talking about not just people, but the elements here, the fog, the sea, the seals, the birds, all of it is part of who I am and my healing. And when I'm away and I hear that someone passed away, I carry it longer almost. Like it just time stopped, and until I step back into this place where a loved one, a relative, a community member is no longer with us, then my healing starts. When I it's just really interesting how just being in this is our medicine. And it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It does. It might even hurt more intensely, but the healing happens faster because you know what? We all have to feed each other. We all have to be sure that the power is running and the water is running and all this stuff is happening. So we still depend on each other, and that is the honor and the shame are almost irrelevant in a sense.
Okay, I feel like that response. Oh,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted, if I might add, I think of that a hunter, at least, I think of regards to a hunter, that they would honor by placing, say, a sea lion whisker, they would honor by placing it on their hunting hat as a sign of how skilled of a hunter they are. Since they're, for each one that they hunted, they would put one in their hat. So if one had many, they would be known as a very skillful hunter. And in regards to shame, I don't know exactly how it worked, but there are those who would say that those islanders to the west, further out towards Atu, were banished from many communities in the east who were more, these communities in the east are closer to the mainland, and like you think about Alaska, there was an abundance of sea lions and these kinds of resources. So life was maybe more difficult to the west, and I don't know if it was out of shame that people were banished, if that's what produced that perspective.
But it is an unknown, as he says, so it's tough to say this and think that someone's going to put it in writing.
No, I really like those responses. I think it's going to do well in my paper. And I feel like that last response that you gave kind of ties into our honor and pride and dishonor and shame important concepts in your culture. I feel like it's very apparent that those are very important concepts to you. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I think with the pride part, probably that was, I don't know if it was boasted upon, but I know that a lot of times games is where competitions and the pride of, I won that, and they would be so violent as like if you won this particular game, you would hit the other person across the knuckles with a bone. So those are probably places of pulling what you were doing to have your community survive and pulling into the games table or circle, for lack of a better way of putting it, and expressing pride there. I don't know how it worked. Interestingly, because most people that came into our region as explorers were male, and they talked to the men and didn't really pay attention to the female perspective. So I don't know if there was like pride in weaving the best baskets, or pride that probably showed up. Your pride was not going to be like your fingernails type of thing. It might be that I have 2 husbands. So that's kind of your polish or your fingernails on your clothes.
I love that. All right. Well, I think I got everything I needed. Sonia, did you want to add on anything for what you needed? I'm interested to hear what you have.
Yeah. What's seeming important to me now is the interrelationship, and you kind of touched upon it, which was land or place, language, and community. And as I'm displaced from my homelands, I also am experiencing a loss of language and community. And so I want you to maybe, connect those things or weave those things together in the place that you are, and look at your beautiful community there, the intergenerational teachings. I love it.
Yeah. So rephrase at the beginning, the language.
Land, language, and community.
Atakanakuna. So we are of this land. The community is very much influenced by the landscape. Even if we don't pay attention to it, it does influence. Everybody right now is probably goes out their door and inhales, because there is this wonderful scent that you cannot get anywhere else that I know of. It's a very different sea scent. So the land and everything that about it, and everything that engages with it, influences our community. I like to say that with Unangam Tanu, with what we're speaking and what everyone here is making our grand efforts of keeping alive and spoken. Everybody here speaks something daily in our language, sings in our language, plays games in our language. It is influenced by the land and our relatives, the Lapudan, the Persil, the sun, the Sapuchanan, the birds. It all is linked together, and it's pretty tough to separate. So I feel a little lump when I think of you, Hakasuna, as my niece, who's has people coming from both the Kodiak area and from out here in the Pribilof Solutions, and you are where you are, and I really, really appreciate that you are the work that you're doing with other people who are still in their place. There's got to be something to be said for, okay, I am here, these are your lands, and I'm going to engage in that. And that's happened over the 1,000 years of Unangadin on the Aleutian Pribilof Islands, is the banishment, whether it was banishment or not, those people moving shifted things according to where they were. It's not like all of the Aleutian Islands are the same. Some are flatter, some are more mountainous, so they're going to all evolve differently from each other. And that happened to us on Tanag Amich and Anrach Chalo on the Pribilof Islands. Is we are a part of the Aleutians, or as Damien would say, the gem off the chain. The gem's off the chain. And here we have been almost given this basket of language from our motherland that is a mix of all of them. And we do have some speakers say, well, that's not the way we say it, or that's not the way we say it. And we've gone through those and respect it and understand those of our elders were influenced by their own times. I think the one way that I could express that Unangam Tenu is influenced by this place is, for example, we have the sea lion. In our language, we call the sea lion kawa, and that is what they told us to call them. That was their voice, kawa, and that is what we named them. And then we have the karia, which is known as the kitty and they say karia, 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 and that's what we call them, karia. So if we were to have evolved anyone here in the biosphere in Africa, we would not say karia because they don't have them there, or we would not say kawa because they don't have them there. I don't know how we would say giraffe or how we would say of some other animals, but we would have had the words from our land and our place, and that is what language is.
And then in not talking about religion, but spirituality in terms of our more than human relations, you were just talking about how the seals told us what to call them. Do you in thinking about spirit, or I was watching that film Secret Alaska, and was it the Yupik called it the ha, like the, I don't know, the breath, or the, I don't know if we have anything similar, or if we even have words for that.
Do you know that little for the Sacred Alaska? No.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we would have to like ask the journey of that term.
Mm-hmm.
I know we have on the Ying, my breath, which is sort of it, and then of course in translation with religious spiritualities, my soul. I don't know that we understood those the same way, that your breath was your soul, or basically the same.
Yeah, thing. That was what I was wondering, because they were interviewing the Yupik and how they had converted willingly to Russian Orthodoxy, and I had some wonderings if the words were changed when they said, we have the ha, it's the breath of all life, it's the spirit, and then maybe how missionaries changed that. I don't know. Language isn't always translatable, and particularly in those world views or beliefs. And so I just had a wondering around that. And then I'm just curious if you'd be willing to share any stories or songs that you teach the youth here.
Could sing I'm Ring. Want to sing I'm Ring? Yeah, we can sing I'm Ring. I don't know if you want a little drum in it. Oh, shall we? Oh, I have my tutu back there, but I don't have a stick. Yeah. Thanks for, appreciate that you both were agreeable to coming together, this and being the two birds killed with one stone. And not even knowing each other. But as soon as were mom and dad living in Eagle River when you were little? Were you born already when they lived in Eagle River?
Yes, I was. Alicia, sorry, go ahead.
No, are you from Eagle River too?
I spent a couple years there, but I was born in Anchorage.
Oh, wow. Okay, so yeah, I was born in Anchorage, and then my dad was born in Anchorage. He grew up in Eagle River, so I'm a second-generation Alaskan. I'm not Alaskan Native myself, but my family's been here for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have, Hakasuna has a cousin that's living in Eagle River. My nephew, Jay, his family lives there. So nice. I get to go on occasion. I have a hard time with the mountains.
Maybe we can meet in person one day.
Maybe. We have a new baby in Anchorage, so some folks say, hey, we got a cabin out in Kenai, or we have and it's like, well, now we have a grandson in Anchorage. It's kind of hard to leave Anchorage.
Yeah.
Hey, we won't dance. Oh, we won't really dance it. We'll just like sing it up. Yeah, okay. So a little share on that. That the words in English are my breath I have here, my bones I have them here, and my flesh I have here. and with them I sought you, and with them I found you. Now speak to me and say something nice to me. And it is a perception that is basically what I just spoke about being community and living together, like here in Tanah de Rusif on Tanah Amich, is that we may disagree with each other, or to go back a little bit, when we are born, you are born and you seek your people that are caring for you and in being in that community. And then as you grow, you seek friends and peers, and you're seeking people. And when you find them, you're going to have some times where you disagree. But as long as you speak nicely to each other and uphold each other, then it's going to be okay.
I love that. And then what do you?
And by the way, Hakasuna, today's the day that Grandma passed on. So we can do a Ugunugnagnavaluga as well. It was also the day of one of our elders that was a person that was really at the forefront of in leadership of ensuring we had a sound community governmentally and politically and stuff. Is Mike Zaharoff was his name. So we could do Ugunugnagnavalu. Which is the same as memory eternal, and this is something Hakasuna, memory eternal. And Alicia, it is basically just a person when he passed. The concept is they're never to be forgotten.
Oh no. 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 Oh no.
Oh, no.
That was amazing. Thank you for that.
Awesome. Be well with it. Mm.
And then, are there any of the youth there want to share anything that's seeming important to them in their what they're learning?
There are a couple that went to go potty. They're probably talking to themselves about this in the bathroom. Oh, Akasuna Amgisila is going to wave her hand. Wave your hand so I can. Is Uncle Philip's granddaughter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All grown up.
So a cousin in the room. Yeah.
And then I found this book by is it Ilarion Mikrulev, Wisdom Keeper? Do you know him? He wrote about let me change my if I take my background off. This one?
There you go. Yeah.
I get homesick, so I'm buying books.
What do you think about it? Did you read it?
Oh, just a little bit. I just started it. I was going to read it this weekend. And just thinking about language and land and how values are taught intergenerationally and through it's mostly through time with elders and just thinking about what a gift these what all the gifts that you're leaving here for the future and the generations to come. So it makes my heart happy.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I wish Larry still lived here. We were just yesterday. We were in story time, and we were talking about how wonderful it is that we have generations of families here. You have Great Kuka, and that is part of the connection. Is if you were to go through and you have child, mom, man, and nature and ancestors, when you're in that realm, generationally, that's part of the nurturing and nourishment of the whole thing. Yeah, it's tough having a grandchild in Anchorage.
Mm-hmm. And then just
so far away.
And just thinking about how we used to be educated and what it meant to be educated. We came from that generational experiences in the land, like you were just sharing, and thinking about now what it means to be educated is that you're separated by your age group and you don't. You're individual in how it's not as fulfilling or it doesn't meet the spiritual, emotional, and cultural needs of particularly Indigenous kids.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I think that's why I gravitated to what we're doing now. And we had the folks with the Wear Your Keys method of giving people tools in order to teach a language came with some other perks, and a lot of it was no one person is in charge. So even in here, we have 11 of us, and we rotate through who presides a meeting, through who keeps on schedule. I'm scheduler today, so I have this little timer that went off, and we have someone that's scribing and keeping a record of what we're doing in the day. We have someone taking the photographs, and that all rotates. So everybody has duties. and all the way down to we don't have a janitor. We stop once a week and blast music and clean toilets and floors, and we're still together, and we just bump into each other and call it good.
All right. Speaking of calling it good, I know you've been very generous with your time today. Did your timer go off?
I have stopped that and turned it off. But yeah, we have some folks that have 3 minutes.
Yes. Well, what a gift. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And tonight, today is also the day that the evacuation of the Pribilof Islands commenced in World War II. So our community is doing a commemorative walk this evening. So we're going to all meet and walk from the village out towards the shoreline where people evacuated and went on a ship, and they never knew if they would ever come back again. So we commemorate that. I think we've done it for 16, 17 years now. And a part of it was there was a ball game, baseball game happening when the big ship pulled up in 1942. So this weekend there will be a softball tournament happening that commemorates that event as well. So it is great to have been here visiting with you too on this day that we commemorate our ancestors and how they were plucked off our island and taken all the way to Southeast Alaska for a couple years.
And then here you are, flourishing despite the
Right.
challenges.
Yes. I'm so glad they came back. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine if, because we did have like at 2, we had other villages, people couldn't go back after World War II to their homelands. So we're fortunate. Count our blessings.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you. Have a good day, everybody.
You as well.